Let's build a better shulker farm that is still super easy to construct. Even though it looks crazy with bullets flying all over the place and boxes all around, you only actually have to transport 2 boxes. That's it. It's super easy and super simple to get crazy rates. This will produce around 1,700 shells per hour, which is like 850 boxes. Best of all, you can build this anywhere you want. You can build it next to a city for easy transportation, or over the void, near the Dragon Island, or even in the overworld back at your base. It doesn't matter where you build it, because all you need is to transport 2 shulkers in a boat. And now that we have happy guests, that would make it even easier to get those shulkers wherever you want the farm to be. But before we build it, let's talk about the mechanics that allow it to work and things that we need to know before we go to build. So a shulker box can teleport or duplicate up to 8 blocks in any direction from itself in a cube area. Now on Bedrock, the box cannot teleport to like glass or buttons or scaffolding, but on Java it's a little bit different. I know for a fact that they can teleport to glass, but they can't teleport to buttons. So if you're on Java, you will need to keep that in mind, that instead of using glass, you will need to cover that block in buttons to prevent the shulkers from teleporting to it. Anytime that a box is damaged, it has a chance to teleport somewhere within this 17 by 17 cube. If it's damaged by a shulker bullet from another box, it has a chance to duplicate. And if the duplication trigger happens, it will then count how many boxes are within this 17 by 17 cube. And if there's too many of the boxes, it will fail to duplicate. So the more boxes there are within this range, the less likely it is to duplicate. If a shulker dies from a bullet fired by another box, it has a chance to replace itself. But again, it will check to see how many boxes there are within the 17 by 17 area centered on where it was when it died. And each box that it finds within that area reduces the odds of it duplicating itself or replacing itself. But if there was only 2 boxes originally and one of them died because of the other one's bullet, it would be guaranteed to replace itself. But the more boxes there are in this area, the less likely it is to either duplicate or replace itself. Also, if it has nowhere to teleport to within the 17 by 17 area, it will never duplicate or replace itself, and it'll also never teleport. And so the more applicable teleportation area that there is within this 17 by 17 range, the higher the probability that it will duplicate. So all of that is tied together, from the teleportation range to the duplication and replacement odds. So that's why farms like this, that have a minimal teleportation area, that overlap 8 blocks from each other, these can eventually break. If you get really unlucky, the shulker boxes will end up teleporting to where there's only 1 box in each of these sections, because it's within the applicable range, and that would end up breaking the farm. That's why on the last tutorial that I made for a shulker farm, I did it like this, where all 4 of these sections are 8 blocks apart, so they cannot see or interact or teleport with other sections. Otherwise, there would always be a chance that it doesn't replace itself when it dies. And there would be a chance that they could just teleport away and break the farm. And so that's also why I messed around with larger areas. Because if we have a larger area, then there's more potential places for it to duplicate to. But these have the same problem, where unless you have a ton of shulkers in the farm already, there's a chance that they just kind of teleport away from each other and can no longer kill each other and then just no longer duplicate. And so really the best way to do this is just to have a giant circle that covers the entire aggro range while also allowing for the most possible teleportation and duplication spots. The aggro range of a shulker is about 14 blocks in a circular area. So if we stand on that little blue dot there in the middle, a shulker will aggro us if it's anywhere within that red range. So to see this, if we stand on this blue dot, and the shulker is 15 blocks away, it's not going to aggro us. But the actual range isn't really a whole number, because if we move a couple of pixels forward, well, now it's shooting at us. So the range is actually more like 14.5 blocks. So I made this area with that in mind, so that even if you're off by a little bit, they will still guarantee to aggro you. Another option is using a snow golem. But the problem with this, as opposed to using the player, is that the only box that will actually aggro the golem is the one he's throwing snowballs at. All of the other ones will just ignore his existence completely. When it comes to picking a build location, while you can build this anywhere and in any dimension, we will need to keep a 9-block clearance around where the shulkers can exist, because we don't want them to teleport out of the farm. So we need a 9-block clearance around the shulker platform. Now the bottom of the farm is just a collection system, so you can build it on the ground. You really only have to worry about like floating structures near the top. Another thing to keep in mind is where you get your initial 2 shulker boxes from. Now while you can just load them up in a boat or a rail system or even a happy gas and just fly them to wherever you want, the 2 easiest places to get these shulkers from is the doorway to a city and the end ship. Both of those have really easy shulker boxes to just grab and go. So if you don't want to deal with moving the shulker boxes really far away, you can just build the farm right in front of the city or right next to the ship. Just keep that 9-block clearance in mind, that we want to have 9 blocks of air between the farm and everything else. So to play it safe, we need a 49 by 49 area that is 30 blocks tall, that just has nothing in it. That's not how big the farm is going to be, it's just we need that amount of room with nothing in there, just to guarantee that shulkers can't escape. Now we're going to start off with the collection system, and this can really be whatever you want it to be, from hoppers pointed into chests to something fancier. But we will need to be able to access this, of course, to collect our items. But next to the topmost hopper, we're going to build a 17 by 17 platform out of either slabs or blocks. It doesn't matter which you use, just slabs are a little bit cheaper. Then we want a block on all 4 corners, and then more blocks surrounding this entire 17 by 17 platform, diagonally up. Now we want to go out by 6 more blocks or slabs all the way around, so that we have a 17 by 17 platform surrounded by a 7 wide platform. And then again, we want to place blocks on all 4 corners and then diagonally up surrounding the entire thing. Then we're going to expand by 3 more blocks or slabs all the way around, and then do the same thing where we put a solid block on all 4 corners and then surround it diagonally up with solid blocks. So each layer will be surrounded by full blocks and have a full block on all 4 corners. The bottom one will be 17 by 17, then a 7 wide, then a 4 wide. And now we need to cover the outer walls in water, except for next to these topmost corner blocks. Don't place water next to the corners, but on every other block going all the way around. So the water should flow right up to that middle hopper and stop. Then just place a bucket of water on top of each of these 4 corners, the interior corners, on this upper layer. Then if you want, you can place slabs along the outer edge to prevent Endermen from spawning or teleporting up there. So this is what we'll have when we're done. Now on top of that middle hopper, we're going to go up by 16 scaffolding. Or if you don't want to use scaffolding, you can just use a ladder or something, whatever you want. Just scaffolding is nice and easy. Just go up by 16, and then 2 blocks above the water, we're going to surround it in glass, just to prevent shulkers from aggroing you as you're crawling up the scaffolding. But remember that if you're playing on Java, they can teleport to glass, so you'll need to either cover it in buttons or use an alternative material. But then we're going to expand the top part to be 3 by 3. This is where we're going to AFK to use the farm. 3 blocks above that, we need a roof. to keep our armor stands from flying away, and to keep us protected. And we want this to be spawn and teleportation proof. So on Bedrock, use glass, and if you're on Java, use buttons. But now we need to expand this top platform by 6 solid blocks in each direction. We'll have a 15 by 15 platform made up of solid blocks except for the inner 3 by 3 area. Then cover all the solid blocks in slabs. Then around the edge, we need to place upper slabs so that the whole thing is spawn and teleportation proof. Now on Bedrock, I know that shulkers cannot teleport to slabs, but on Java, I'm not sure. So if they can teleport to slabs, you'll need to use buttons to spawn proof the slabs as well. But then from our lower platform, we need to build a ring that is aligned with these outer slabs, that is 1 block away from our solid block platform, and then expand this to be 2 wide, so all the way around. Also break the inner bridge, the part that we bridged over from the center area to this 2 wide outer ring. I just forgot to do that. But then place armor stands around the center of this ring, so that all of these armor stands have a slab above their head, because we don't want them to float up and away. And all of these are just temporary. It's to help us duplicate the initial boxes. You can grab shulkers from anywhere, but the easiest ones to get are the ones at the doorway to the city and the ones up on the inn ship. All we will need is a lead in a boat, but it's nice to also have scaffolding and a potion of invisibility. If you drink a potion of invisibility while you're not wearing any armor whatsoever, the shulkers just can't see you, and so they won't torment you with bullets while you're trying to drag them around in a boat. You also cannot be wearing elytra either. No armor, no elytra. If you drink the potion and there's already bullets flying around, the bullets can see you. So you need to, stay clear of the bullets until there's no more bullets around, but the boxes themselves are just oblivious to your existence. We can stand right next to it, and it's just not going to aggro us whatsoever. Now, to actually get the shulkers in a boat, we need them to be stuck to the ground. So we need to place a block under them if they're attached to a wall, and then break the block that they are sitting on, and that will snap them down to the floor. Then we plop down a boat, give it a nudge, and the shulker will fit right in. And of course, we can have 2 shulkers in the same boat. So we can just drag it over to the other one, and now we have our 2 boxes to build our farm. We want to get them up to the roof, and how you do this is really up to you. There are many different ways. You can just pillar up using blocks, or you can use scaffolding. Or nowadays, you can even use a happy ghast to just fly them up to the roof. All up to you. I like using scaffolding, even though you have to place, holder blocks for the scaffolding. I just find it to be nice and easy, especially to break whenever you're done. But a lead is strong enough to just make the boat magically fly as you crawl up your scaffolding or as you place blocks to pillar up. But we just need to take this boat and get it on the roof. Then of course, before you break the boat or do anything else, depending on what you used to get up here, you will need to break, any teleportable blocks. Like if you pillared up just using solid blocks or something, you need to make sure the shulkers cannot teleport to whatever you built. Then we need to drag the boat to this center 3 by 3 area on top of the glass, and then very carefully break the boat. Now, if you break the boat while they're on these slabs, they will actually get kind of sunk into the slab, in which case you would need to break the block that they are actually sitting on. Break the slab and break that block, and they will teleport to the correct platform. Once they're on the platform, we just need to wait for our invisibility to run out, or we can put our armor back on so that they can see us again. We'll be protected by the armor stands, but we want to stand at angles where the shulker boxes will shoot each other, because we're trying to make them duplicate. And now it's much, much easier if the boxes are near the edge. You can stand close to the box that's near the edge, and the other ones will have a higher chance of actually hitting it. Depending on where they teleported, the first 2 boxes are probably going to be the most difficult, because they might be far away from each other, and it might be awkward to get them to shoot each other. But once they start duplicating, you'll have more and more targets for the bullets to hit. and it'll get easier and easier. And we want to just continue doing this until we fill up the platform with like 10 boxes or so. You know, really the more boxes that you get right now doing it this way, the more smoothly it'll go when you're ready to use the farm. Now you could technically stop with just a handful of boxes, but I would highly recommend just doing this until you get bored. You know, just walk around, getting them to teleport, and trying to fill out the platform. There is a way to mimic this process later on, so don't stress about this part, just do this until you get bored. And really what you're looking for is you want boxes that are spread out on the platform on all sides, but you also want boxes that are next to each other, or that are at angles to where they will hit each other when you're standing on that centermost scaffolding. Everything will just go nice and smooth if you get a few of those angles. But now we need to get rid of our temporary ring. All of our armor stands, that middle bridge section, that if you didn't do, because I forgot to do, you know, you can kind of poke your head in here and break some of them, you know, or you could always just drink a potion of invisibility or something. But the outer ring and the armor stands, you can break from up here on the roof. And if any of the armor stands fall, they'll just land in the water and you can break them down there. And then after you've broken out your ring and your armor stands, break out these side slabs right here, all the way around. Because now we need to fill out the platform to be the maximum size. So all the way around where the solid blocks currently are, we're going to expand it around by 3 blocks. So that we have a 3-block ring around our slab markers. Now, except for the corners, we're going to go out by 1 on all 4 sides. So we're cutting in by 1 on the corners. Then we're going to cut the corners in 1 more time, all the way around. So that when you're done, you'll have 5 corner blocks on each of the corner. Like so. Now we're going to cut in by 2 blocks. So cut in by 2 on all 4 sides. The reason we needed to start with a smaller platform is to guarantee the aggro. They can teleport too far away from each other if you built the max size platform first. But then finally, we need to cut in by 3, which will leave the orthogonal edges 7 blocks wide. So each of these far edges are 7 blocks wide into a cut of 3, into a cut of 2, and then 5 ones. So here is what the final dimensions of this platform will be. A 29 by 29 circle that has 7 wide outer edges. And now we just need to cover all of this in slabs, or buttons, whatever you want to do. Then on the outer edges, we need to teleportation proof those as well. And I would recommend just placing buttons on all of these side blocks, all the way around. And if you miss one, you know, they'll tell you about it. A Shulker will eventually teleport there, and you'll know you missed a button, but it'll be fine. Then go to the middle and break out the center block, and place armor stands on every side of that scaffolding. So a total of 8 armor stands. And then we can just jump in the hole and it's ready to go. I would replace the roof above your head just to prevent any sort of nonsense, but now it's the moment of truth. If you filled out the platform enough with the temporary armor stands earlier, then they will all just start duplicating, and it will fill out pretty quickly. But if they teleport away and don't duplicate, or you get unlucky, you can kind of finagle where their bullets are going by walking like inside of the armor stands to try to change the angle that they're attacking at. As long as their bullets are hitting each other, it will eventually fill out. But if they're in a perfect ring, and just none of them are shooting each other because they all teleported away, what we can do is find a good angle where you have a bunch of boxes lined up in a row, and we're going to just build a temporary platform. Either by, pillaring up, maybe drinking an invisibility potion, or just using scaffolding. Because with scaffolding, you can place it from the bottom, so they're not going to start shooting you as you place this. And then you can fly up to the roof or something and build the safety platform from up here. So they never start aggroing you until you're ready. But it doesn't matter. You're just building a platform at a good angle where they will aggro you and end up shooting each other. And all you should really need is just a little jump start. You know, like they all shoot each other once, maybe one of them duplicates, maybe some of them teleport to the center, and then you can just go back to the middle and it'll all work again. Or to be safe, you can have armor stands, you know, to protect you so that you can stand here for a longer period of time. But this is why it's important to early on, when you duplicate them originally, to get like as many as you can on that platform to really kickstart the process. Because really, as long as you get more than 8 when you duplicate them the first time, you shouldn't ever have to do this. I mean, you would have to get super crazy mega unlucky. You know, but especially if you get like 10 or 11 duplicated the first time, it'll be golden. You will never have to build this temporary thing. And once it actually starts filling out on its own from the center, you'll never have to do that. It'll never mess up to where there's not a good angle. The only time that's possible is if we don't duplicate them enough, like initially. I also made sure to make the water platform low enough to where they won't aggro you, unless you're like flying around or jumping around or something. But now we can just go up the middle and AFK to get tons and tons of shells. After a while, you'll notice that the outside ring starts to fill up with shulkers. And eventually, you'll be left with this, where you have a perfect outline of boxes with a cluster in the middle. Now, whether or not you have a full outer ring of boxes doesn't actually affect the rates. So what you can do, if you ever want just like a little bonus of shells, is you can come up here and use your looting sword to kill about 50% of this outer ring. If you kill any more than like 60 or 70% of the outer ring, it actually lowers the damage output that's being given to the center cluster, which actually lowers the rates temporarily until it fills back up. But if you kill just like 50% of them, the rates are exactly the same as if you didn't kill them. So it's just like a quick little bonus of shells and experience. But it's up to you. You know, I mean, that's still killing them by hand when you could just AFK right here. So there's no real benefit or point. But just know that it is a thing. If you ever need a quick shell, you can do that. This is definitely my go-to style for a shulker farm. The rates are absolutely fantastic, and it just doesn't get any easier to build than this. I mean, just building a giant circle and calling it good. But I actually didn't know that shulker boxes even existed for over 10 years. Like, I started playing Minecraft back in beta, you know, on Java when it first came out. And I did absolutely no research. You know, I didn't watch videos, didn't read the wiki, I didn't even play in creative mode. So I didn't know that shulker boxes and elytra even existed. I thought the end was just the dragon and enderman. I went there like 2 times and it was like, this is pointless, why would I ever come here? And it wasn't until the Nether update when I played multiplayer for the first time. Like, I joined a realm after the Nether update, and this guy comes flying in with his wings and gives me a box full of goodies, and I'm just like, what is this magic? You know, what kind of mods are you using, man? You have these boxes and these wings, like, you know, it just blew my mind. Like, little did I know that I was just an uninformed noob. But that's all we got for this episode. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, share, and subscribe. Always remember that you are totally awesome, but above all, don't forget to have fun. Bye-bye.